Welcome to Developing Palates. This review recap is brought to you by J.C. Newman. Founded in 1895 by Julius Caesar Newman, J.C. Newman Cigar Company is the oldest family-owned premium cigar maker in America. J.C. Newman rolls its El Rolage, factory throwouts, and Trader Jack's cigars by hand-operated vintage cigar machines at its historic cigar factory in Tampa, Florida. It also hand-rolls its Brick House, Perla del Mar, El Baton, and Quorum cigars at the J.C. Newman Pinza Cigar Factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. J.C. Newman's Diamond Crown, Maximus, Julius Caesar, and Black Diamond cigars are handmade at Tabacalera A Fuente in the Dominican Republic. With its longtime partners, the Fuente family, the Newmans founded the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation, which supports low-income families in the Dominican Republic with education, healthcare, vocational training, and clean water. Learn more by visiting jcnewman.com. Hello, everyone. Aaron Loomis coming to you from the Ventura Cigar Company studio, and with me today is Jiunn Liu and John McTavish. How you guys doing today?
Not bad. It's good that we do recaps on Monday and not reviews on Monday. I'll tell you that right now. Now.
So today we are talking about the Brook House Double Connecticut Corona Larga. It's kind of more of a Lonsdale, I guess, maybe 6 1/4 by 46. Comes out of the Pinza factory in Nicaragua, or the J.C. Newman Pinza factory. Wrappers U.S. Connecticut shade, binders U.S. Connecticut broadleaf, hence the Double Connecticut. Filters from Nicaragua. Price point is $5.80, and the cigar is released in September of 2017. So, Jiunn, take us through your smoking experience.
Smoking experience. First few puffs, I got like a creamy baseline to the whole profile. Got a bunch of cedar, some herbal tea qualities as well. As I got into it some more, nuts, baking spices started joining in. When I retrohaled the cigar, surprising amount of like a spicy cedar that came out of it, and just more like amped up with the baking spices as well. Finished pretty long. Dry nuts, earthy, dry soil, dirt, kind of a component to it. Strength of body medium, and kind of going through the second third. I felt like the cigar started at this point kind of started picking up these like tannins, and some bitterness started to kind of form. Within the second third, those notes were not so overwhelming that I wasn't able to taste the other notes. So I still thought the cigar profile was, enjoyable. But by the time I got to the last third, the tannins and that bitterness just kept on just kind of inching more and more to the point where it was too much of a factor for the cigar. So it was less enjoyable. And in terms of construction, it was perfect.
How about you, John? What was your smoking experience like?
I mean, I think Jiunn just did my review. So we're good. No, one of the things, because we don't really talk pre-light a lot anymore, and I just want to touch on something that I think is kind of, it's really minor, but I just want to call it out because it's kind of a big deal from a retail perspective. They have UPC codes on the cellophane, which is really, really helpful for retailers. And one of the things that you usually find is if a customer or somebody opens the cellophane and rips the UPC code, usually the way the UPC code is positioned on the cellophane is it rips it in half. So at that point, you really can't scan it. J.C. Newman, Brick House, has done a wise job of creating a breakpoint within that UPC code so that the UPC code is still intact, even though the cellophane's open. And I know it seems really silly, but it's little things like that make retailers' lives so much easier. So I just want to kind of lead with that before I trash the cigar. Just kidding. No, I think Jiunn and I had a very, very similar experience. The first third on the Double Connecticut, it had this sweet dry cedar, a little bit of spices. I actually got quite a bit of pepper as the cigar settled in, maybe medium minus. So I was kind of thinking it was along the lines of a New Market type Connecticut. The pepper kind of, as it settled in, really started to linger on the post draw. I wouldn't say it was overwhelming, but there was a significant amount of pepper. I did get some really nice light chocolate moving into the middle of the profile about maybe halfway through. And then I kid you not, Jiunn, like you really took the words right out of my review. There was really a tannic and cedar quality. Like the cedar had this really tannic quality. It wasn't overwhelming, which was good. So it didn't push away the chocolate and the cedar and the earthiness that kind of came in the second third, but certainly by the last third, those tannins just kind of really took over the profile. There's a little bit of classic hay, like a classic Connecticut hay profile, and then earthiness kind of really took on the post draw and took it over. Maybe a little nutmeg in there. not bad, but those tannins were really like medium strength, so really dominated that last third. I rated the second third and last third average. I did feel that those tannins played a really big part of that. In terms of burn and construction, I actually rated it very good. The burn was very, very sharp, razor sharp almost. There was some self-correcting burn issues in the middle third, and then I did have to do a touch-up kind of really halfway through the middle third. That was really it until the last third, which I was on the fence as to whether to do a relight, but I ended up doing a relight. Ash held on well. Draw was absolutely perfect, right in the ideal zone of resistance. How was your experience from the brick house?
So for me, the cigar started with toasted wood and that aggressive black pepper with a little bit of cream to it. About a half inch in, that pepper eased up quite a bit, and the cream was really teamed up with that toasted wood, and it was up front there. About an inch in, toasted wood, cream, black pepper were all at equal levels. Retrohale had that black pepper up front, toasted and creamy wood kind of behind it. As the third was coming to a close, that toasted and creamy wood's up front, black pepper's kind of behind in the background. The pepper had a really long finish to it. Strength was right at medium. And in the second third, the cream became faint. Toasted wood still up front, black pepper right behind it. A little further in, the cream picks back up, but the profile became a little bit dry. Retrohale has toasted creamy wood. And then as the second third is coming to a close, really no changes to the profile other than it becoming a little bit less dry. Strength still remained at the medium mark. And then in the final third, the cream once again became really faint. Toasted wood is up front, black pepper is faint in the background. About an inch in, pepper completely left the profile, became a little bit more drying again. Retrohale's got that kind of a dry wood profile to it. And then as it wraps up, it was just toasted wood at the finish. Strength stayed at medium. In regards to construction, I had a little bit of issue with the burn, slightly wavy at times, straight at others. It did go out twice on me, requiring relights. Ash did hold on 1.25 inch increments. But in regards to the draw, it was perfect. I had no issues with it whatsoever. So, Jiunn, overall thoughts?
It was a good to decent offering, I thought. There's a bit more spice than your traditional Connecticut shade cigars. But the tannin, that bitterness that's associated with like a bitter kind of a wood, that was just a little bit too much as the cigar progressed through. Good effort, really good price for the cigar, but in terms of the flavor experience, it was just it was good to okay.
All right, John, how about you?
I would say for me, the Brickhouse Connecticut was really an average experience. I wouldn't call it my father's Connecticut. I might call it my father's younger brother's Connecticut. And I think maybe what happened is the cigar never really established itself either as a classic Connecticut or as a new market Connecticut. And like Jiunn said, for me, the tannins were quite distracting. And I think that's what ended up impacting the score overall. The first third for me was headed in the right direction. I think if the profile had made consistent, I think this would have been in the sort of good category. In terms of construction, it was a great cigar. I just wish there was a little bit more to offer on the flavor market. What was the price point on this guy?
$5.80.
See, that's a pretty good price point. I mean, along the lines of most Brickhouse products. So I'd probably smoke it just because of the price point. What about you, Aaron?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting cigar with the two types of Connecticut tobacco on it, with the broadleaf and the shade. I just felt the profile was a little bit lacking. I had to go to the water quite a bit because the profile was a bit dry. It just was, something that kind of took away from the overall enjoyment for me. I don't think I'd return to this cigar, even though the price point's attractive. I just think there's a lot of other cigars kind of that, even in this price point, there's other ones that I think I'd prefer. But if you're price conscious, and you've in this profile would fit what you like, then I think that people will find something here that they really enjoy. So getting into the scores, we'll start at the top with Jiunn, who gave it a 6.82. John was next at a 6 even, and I gave it a 5.80. So Jiunn, 6.82. How'd that match up with your experience?
It seems surprisingly high, and I think it's mainly due to the fact that I rated the construction to be perfect all around, so that definitely helps the scoring. But I think the flavor profile overall is more towards the average side. But then again, I guess I was nice enough to rate it good on the first couple of thirds and average on the last third, although that bitterness started to come through within the second third. But Yeah, it's a good score, but it's one of those scores in which I'm like, it's a good score. It's respectable, very respectable score, but I don't think it's going to be anything I'm going to reach towards quite a bit on.
How about you, John? 6 even.
I'm with Jiunn. I think that score is punching out of this category. I think that has a lot to do with construction. To me, if you rated this on flavor, and again, good construction is important, but if you rated this on flavor, to me, this is a 5.5. It's kind of a smack dab average cigar that had some interesting components in the first third, but a 6 seems high to me, and obviously that thing has a lot to do with construction. Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I had 5.8. I'm in the same boat as you. I think you and I were pretty much same on flavor ratings, and I just had some issues with the burn, which kind of knocked it down a little bit. So that's kind of where I was at. But I think the score fits kind of where it was. It was slightly above average flavor profile. That first third had some interesting components to it. But then after that, it kind of just faded into the average mark. So, like I said, it's price point's attractive, and that's sometimes the big driver for people. And if they want to, try something that's interesting with these, two variations of Connecticut tobacco, then it might be worth a draw for them. So, any other final thoughts from you guys on this one?
I don't think this double Connecticut thing works. I mean, I think it's no, like, first of all, I don't think it's coincidence that when most cigar companies use Connecticut shade, they go to Ecuador and get theirs, as compared to using U.S. Connecticut shade. It's probably more expensive, but it just doesn't work. Like, I think this is like the second U.S. Connecticut shade that I've had, and I've had this like tannic like bitterness from the other one. I forget the other one. I want to say I think it's like the My Father one from back in the day. And I don't know, maybe like why the Connecticut broadleaf binder? Like, are you trying to give it more body than your traditional Connecticut shade? I'm not really sure, but whatever it is, I mean, I'm not a cigar blender by any means, but taste-wise, it just doesn't really fare well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
All right, if you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Follow us on all the social media channels, and you can catch all of our review recaps on podcasts, so iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.